Red day on the market today.
Always give it 100, don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing, I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble.
See, Dave, if you stayed in that short, man, you were up huge.
Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal.
All right, it is time. See what kind of transition we can do here. One of these days I will get grace with this. I hope. Anyway. All right. Crypto bubbles. Wow, man. Red day. We lost a lot of gains on some of these. AGIX down to 38. I like it. I'm hoping it goes lower. Cake down to 347. Dot 643. Dot's been holding pretty well. Can't complain there. Algo, poor coin, man. It's also doing pretty good. Zilliqa has been the one that's been holding pretty strong today. Just taking a quick look. When we get these big dumps like this, one thing that you can do is come over to 24-hour CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, whatever. Hit that and see which ones are kind of hanging in there. Right now, Radex is hanging strong. It's up 149% on the week still. Not familiar with Edgecoin. BitTorrent. That's surprising. Zilliqa's up. Then we come down and we're starting to get into the negative just a little bit here. Binance is holding, well, that's $1. It would hold. Got ahead of myself there. So, of course, stable coins, gold, holding pretty well. But overall, alts are taking just a little bit of a hit right now. So when we cover Bitcoin chart, we talked about the possibility of this being inverted head and shoulders. This has a strong possibility of getting a retest back to the breakout area. So that's a possible. So it's not out of the question to see at some point over the next weeks, over the next months, to pull back to 25 to 25.3 area to retest this neckline. Now, is it going to happen today? I don't think it's going to happen today. I'm not seeing signs that it's going to happen quickly at all. If it does happen, I see some signs that we're holding a very strong ground actually, and we got a couple different charts to look at. But on the daily, let me pull this, quit marking up my screen, get the right thing so I can manage here. So I'm on Heikin-Oxy candles because it just takes away a lot of the noise and everything. And we've got a lot of buy pressure here with these wicks. Catching support on the 21 on the daily. We're in good territory right now. That's normally what price will do. When we're in a strong move, we're riding above that 9-day moving average. And when we get pullbacks, usually come back and find the 21, touch it. And most of the times we're off to the races. If we lose that support, we come down and we find the 50. So we do have, a couple of bounces from this 21-day moving average. Now, when I come to the 12-hour, was it this chart or another one? Or has things changed? Right here. So on this particular one on Bitfinex, I'm not seeing it on the other ones, but Market Cipher A gave us a blood diamond, which is, normally kind of scary. It has to be on another chart. Give me just a second to look for that. Because there's another one that we had right over here. It was this chart. And you notice how different this is from chart to chart, from exchange to exchange? So all the exchanges have different volumes, and that's how these are all calculated. I just lost that again. Where'd you go, man? Pull back right here. You get rid of that Fibonacci. We can see it. Had a blood diamond over here back on March 23rd. Took us down from what? 27.8, 26.8. So took us down about $1,000. That's kind of what we're looking at here. 1,000 or 30,000 down to our current level of about just under 29 or at 29. So I'm not too nervous about that, especially since it's only showing up on a very few charts. Got our X's and everything. So a cool indicator just to look as a backup. But overall, when we come to this, let's go ahead and let's play by the rules. Let's start with the big time frame. Monthly. Look at our indicators. Big thing I want to point out, MACD is starting to look gorgeous. This is on the monthly. Been slowly coming to the upside. No, we're not there until we officially get this cross of the blue over that red line, and we start seeing this histogram cross this yellow line, get to the blue. It's a few months away, but we're on the right trajectory. Stochastics are going up, money flow starting to go up, VWAP is coming up. This is our momentum wave starting to go up, so the monthly is looking pretty juicy. And the monthly trumps everything else, trumps the weekly. Weekly's not looking that bad. So money flow's coming up, VWAP struggling just a little bit, coming down. Momentum indicators showing some signs of tiredness, stochastics at the top. So on the weekly, could it be sideways? Could it be down a little? Yeah, now as long as money flows into red, we're at more risk to come down a little bit more than if it were in the green. But as far as our Ichimoku cloud goes, we're right smack dab in the middle. Now, according to Ichimoku, this is a no trade zone because it's kind of neutral. It could, kind of go either way. It usually spits us out eventually onto the other side, but it can kind of get trapped in here for a little while. So let's watch that. That would be some sideways motion. But just the fact of being in the cloud and still being under the cloud is a big accomplishment and pointing to some good signs. 3-day, well, it says it's time to come down a little bit, take a little bit of a break. It also said that back over here, April 4th, but then, it switched its mind on April 10th. We're playing red light, green light. I'm speculating that we will see a little bit more of this. Money flow is still in the green. VWAP is coming down. We'll just keep an eye on that. Coming down to the daily. To me, I don't think this looks terrible. Stochastics are coming down toward the bottom, right? So the zero level's right here. Currently sitting about 30. Money flow's coming down. VWAP's kind of holding in there. But as long as money flow's in the green, it shouldn't be that severe. Now we check out the MACD. Hey, there's Leandro. Hey, good to see you, Leandro. That's my original OG right there. You guys probably wouldn't know me if it wasn't for the efforts of this man being so supportive as he was when I first started a year ago. So MACD dropping a little bit, but over here it wasn't that terrible. Of course, now I'm paying attention to how these lines cross, and that has a lot to do with it. This was a very shallow cross, and they're kind of leveled out. This one's got a little bit more of an angle, so you may get a little bit of a deeper retrace there. It's normal. All right, so let's turn to the price action just a little bit. And since we're on the daily. So we mentioned, it was on another chart, but I did show you the inverted head and shoulders. Do you have a chance to retest that area? But we also have this very strong trend line right here. And it looks like I got rid of the bottom one. Let's go ahead and copy that. And the angles match up very well. I'm very big on paying attention to these angles. Draw it at the bottom, we can see that. Come up here to the wicks, we can see that that was, our little bull trap, or bear trap. Now, the fact that we broke to the upside of this is extremely bullish. And usually we will start seeing parabolic action, price action, when that happens. But this is also due for a retest. And as we mentioned on the daily, zoom in on this just a little bit. Lando says, good to see you too, man. Love you, man. Appreciate you. So, finding support on the 21 that could stick. Could very well stick here. We pull a Fibonacci from the swing low to the swing high. That's also the 618. Great place to take a bounce. So we could definitely continue coming down. Maybe come down and retest this trend line at 27.8. Very possible. But it's too early to tell. The indicators are showing that we may actually find support here. We got some confluence right here that we may find support. If we flip it over to our regular candles, I like to look at them every once in a while. And what's going on? We got a bearish engulfing candle. I mean, this big red candle can swallow up this green one. You can swallow up the previous red one. The biggest thing, for price action, make that a solid line. This was our top right here. Now we could wick down at some point. 28, where are we at? 28.7, 28.8 in that area. Could happen. Might happen this week, might happen next week, may not happen at all. But it wouldn't be a bad thing to see that. We made it up so high, we have to retest these areas, make sure they're solid, put our foot on the ground, make sure we got a good step so that we can jump up higher. So I'm not seeing that as being a bad thing. Now, depending on how you draw things, maybe it could be. I don't see it. Now, and here's an example I'm talking about. If you're looking at this being a channel, we broke up to the upside and came back into it, by general rules, let me go back to my regular candles there. It's a little different here, right? But the general rule would say that once we break back into the pattern, we're headed to the bottom of it. Could be 28.5. And sometimes it'll break to the bottom of that pattern, and that would bring us back down to retest those areas we just mentioned earlier. And this one's got as low as 27.5. Possible. It could happen. But these wicks make me think, we got a fighting chance for that not to happen. What may be happening is that we know we've got a lot of institutions really eyeballing Bitcoin and Ethereum right now. This looks a little similar to what was going over here, kind of flushing out the markets just a little bit, maybe driving price down a little bit, getting a little bit better price to dump on everybody's head up here with this doji candle. I mean, if I had millions and millions of dollars to put in this market, where I had a little sway, it might be tempting to do that. Buying low, selling high. You're taking your profits. So just some things we're looking at there. Let's see. I did want to point out this was kind of a flag. Take a measured move from that, put it to the breakout point, comes up to pretty much the point where we were, right? Well, this could also be a flag if we can hold this area. If that's true, and we get to a breakout area, which, let's just kind of assume that it may be over here. We don't know, but that could take us up to 32,000 in the cards. This green shaded area that I have, let me zoom out on the weekly, corresponds over to this area. Need to lock that so I don't leave it. Possibly easier to see it on the smaller time frame, where we had a lot of consolidation. So this is where this range comes from. So we got wicks up to candle bodies, and we got some candle bodies here. We got this big area of congestion right here. And so this is going to be the tricky area for us to get above. It's going to take us a little while to do this, I think. And here's an example of the red light, green light on 3-day. So right now it says it wants to come down a little bit. I don't think it's a time to be scared. I think it's a time to plan and take advantage of it, because we can see that when Bitcoin starts doing this, makes altcoins nervous. Altcoins are falling at the moment after we had a nice little mini pump there. So let's take a look to that area. I'm not foreseeing, if Bitcoin comes down, it comes down. but it's got a lot of areas that it would need to break through on the downside. There's a lot of support in these areas that it would have to, take a strong event to really drive us down quick and fast. Something really bad. Black swan event, something. But right now it's holding normal price action. Just holding normal price action. So when we come to Bitcoin dominance, and this is what we want to check on for altcoin season, right? We had just a little bit of an altcoin season, a micro altcoin season maybe. The altcoins were doing good, right? And hopefully you guys got to take a little bit of profit. I got to take some. Some of mine, did not go up as highly as I had hoped. Kind of common. Let me get rid of some of these lines so we can see what we're talking about here. And let's go to the chat real quick. Lane, what could be the measured move after the price retests the upper line of that rising channel? So, okay. Trying to get used to the chat box. When I take my eyes off of it, it is hard for me to keep up. Sometimes I get high. Could it be around 35K? I think I answered that. And I think it was around 32. Let me just double check my charts here. If you're talking about the... Where'd he go? Oh, another interesting thing about Bitcoin. If you guys follow my channel, you know I'm big on this rounded bottom with these falling wedges. Usually result in parabolic movements, which we've set ourselves up perfectly for Bitcoin. So just thought I'd throw that out there. Good bottoming sign right there. And let me find the chart with the channel that we have. I assume you're talking about this channel, and it has a measured move, and yeah, it is at 35,000. So yeah, that is one way to now analyze the charts there. And again, this horizontal line somewhere around 28. I got 28.6. So, you look at the candle bodies and the candle wicks, you got that little range that we could find a bounce, and the 21's coming in there. So yeah, you got that, Leandro. Nailed it. CD's open for 19K. Been in a short for days, and it's print. I bet it is. We talked about that, or you talked about that on the live stream. You held that. Great. Awesome. I did not feel comfortable trying to take a short. I get spanked too many times, but it's not a bad area up here to do it. Kind of make me wish I'd joined you on that one. All right, so let's head over back to Bitcoin dominance and see what's going on here. So same thing, we got that trend line and it's holding that dotted one there. Got it dotted so it won't be confused with this overall pattern. Overall pattern's kind of bearish, man. I'm just telling you, it's one of the ascending wedges or ascending broadening wedge. Bearish megabone pattern. Okay. So there could be a partial decline that we're working on, and that could give us another leg to the upside. That's what we're looking at. And we're within another broadening, widening pattern within this one. Now this one's not an ascending. So we're just kind of watching this. One thing we're noticing, the Ichimoku cloud's getting a little thick, starting to get a little closer. We have to keep an eye on that. But basically what we're hoping for is that this will come down. So let's zoom in just a little bit here. So we're finding resistance here at this 47% area. It's been holding. That's kind of our baseline. Came up above it. That killed our altcoins. But then when it started coming down, we started seeing lots of improvements in altcoins, especially BTC pairs. So your exchange value, if you got coins on your exchange and it shows the value in dollars in BTC, probably noticed that your BTC value has been up lately. Meaning that, hey, you might have an opportunity to take profit in Bitcoin and therefore grow your Bitcoin. My overall strategy. So we found support here and we started coming up. So we got rejected at the 9 moving average. Also got rejected at the 21. We're hoping we'll come back down, maybe to retest this 50. Maybe, and this would be great if Bitcoin dominance continues to get rejected, and especially if Bitcoin can just trade sideways we'll get a nice little altcoin season. We'll see some good things out of alts. But right now, indicators are saying Bitcoin dominance wants to go back up just a little bit, probably doing a retest, maybe a retest of this area at 48%, maybe just getting up to 47.5. Those little bitty areas right there make kind of a big difference, right? So come to the 4 hour. Let's take a look just to see what's going on. So we flipped this into support, so we're trying to head up. Let me get rid of this yellow line. Andrew says, I'm really waiting for a micro altcoin to switch some DOT for BTC. Something to learn thanks to Road Dog. We'll take a look at that too. If I forget, remind me, because I do have squirrel brain. What? Unless this 9 moves above that 200 there, it looks like we're going to struggle a little bit. But there's a possibility, dominance could go up, and that would really reflect on Bitcoin. So if we see more people paying, especially institutions, governments, whoever is back there trying to buy on the down low, put just a little bit more attention to the Bitcoin and make it go up. For instance, this bullish megaphone pattern, we find support here at the 618 for Bitcoin. I mean, great for Bitcoin, okay? Bitcoin can recover from this. It's possible. Or, since we had that little bull trap there, could be a sign that we're getting ready to come on down, retest some lower areas. We got to watch these two to get a handle on altcoin season. And we also got to pay attention to total 2, which total 2 doesn't look that bad, okay? And we'll get to that in just a minute. But if Bitcoin decides to go on a tear and just, starts hitting up to 32, 35, we have to kind of back off on altcoins for a little bit. Or it's going to be a while before we see them perform like we would hope. Because that would be a sign Bitcoin dominance will be going up and Bitcoin would be going up. And it's going to kind of mess with our alts a little bit. But this is what we got on total 2. Let's come to the daily. Like Bitcoin, inverted head and shoulders, right? And like Bitcoin could be doing, it's made a little bit more progress to retest that breakout area. It actually almost, you could actually say that it hit it according to some of these wicks and found support there. And let's flip on our regular candles. Got that, a lot of people selling out in alts and going into Bitcoin. That's what a lot of this is. So they're, growing their Bitcoin like they're supposed to be doing, like we're all supposed to be doing. Just getting a retest of this area on the 21. So unless we break this 21 area, I'm not really concerned about it coming further down. And if it does come further down, it's not as likely to bust this pattern since we got a breakout. More than likely just a retest. I think it's about 65% chance to come back on to retest on this. 60 to 65, right through there. So this is normal price behavior. So this week, I've been saying it's just kind of a weird market this week. And if you want my personal opinion, I think it's institutions just, kind of accumulating. That's just my speculations. But things here look like pretty promising to me, not in the short term, but that we can catch a bounce at one of these areas and start coming back up with our altcoins. Money will start coming back into altcoins. So probably not this week. Maybe not next week. I would hate for that to be the little altcoin season that we're looking for. I mean, I liked it, but it was good, but a little lackluster from what we're hoping for, because we do have a measured move up here, and that would, we need about 100 billion to come in to get to that first one. So we'll watch that and see what happens. But overall, I think we're just going through a healthy part of the cycle, or a healthy part of the price action. I don't think there's anything to be worried about. I don't think it's time to get scared, because this is very reminiscent of back in 2019. And I think we went over this before, but it's always worth going over again. At this little area right here, kind of doing something a little similar to that, coming up, coming down, coming back up, and then, it didn't look good. I remember I think I was watching Crypto Savvy at the time. This is before, or let's see, this is December 20. This is right when I was first learning to trade. So this was it. And Crypto Savvy is one person that I watched too. I didn't know he was a perma bear. Didn't seem like a perma bear, but I think he was calling for 9,000 again here, and so that's why one of the reasons why I was light on Bitcoin when I should have been heavier on Bitcoin. And I've learned that lesson now, because when Bitcoin takes off, that's why you want Bitcoin in your portfolio. At one point, Bitcoin's going to outperform everything, stock market, especially altcoins, and you're going to be looking at your altcoins like, when moon? Well, after Bitcoin. So the lesson I learned, and why my portfolio is more at least 60, if not 70% in Bitcoin overall, is for this main reason. And, I'm wanting to stack Bitcoin. So just some things to think about. It's kind of similar to that. And I would not be comfortable. Let me say, if I were to look at this and get scared and say, oh, I'm just going to get out of Bitcoin for a while, you could be missing a big move. Could be. Just my opinion. Throw that out there. All right. I'm going to take a quick look at Ethereum. I think we got Bitcoin covered. I don't think there's anything to be scared of. We know what levels we need to look at, and we do have support here at 29,000 so far. That could very well hold. If it doesn't, let it go. Maybe we will see price come down to 25, 26. Just a better time to get in my personal opinion. But you do have to put some kind of plan into action, how to protect your capital, how to manage your risk for those scenarios. All right, so Ethereum, let's take a quick look at that. I'm not going to go through the top 10, but I will take a look at DOT, and we'll take a look at that against BTC, because I think that would be a good little learning tool too. And if you guys got any requests, I'll be happy to go over them. Take a look at any coins that you have. And Ethereum, here we go. So Ethereum kind of doing, let me clean up my screen just a little bit. Got our trend line, just coming back for a retest. Didn't quite make it all the way down there. Now, is that my fault, or is that because I just double check my trend line? Touch on the candle body. Trend line's good. So, ETH could possibly come down a little bit more. Let's turn on our regular candles and see what's going on. Regular candle body's kind of full to the bottom there. So very likely we could see 1922, 1935 out of Ethereum. I'm cool with that. It would be a little bearish. Okay, let's look. Rising channel. Let me go back to my other candles here. Fell out of the pattern here. I would like to say that's a solid trend line. It's not. That's a copy of this one, where I take the angles and then I move it down to find support. But technically this was a bear trap, which shot us up to the top, and then we broke up to the upside. So my warning would be that if we come back into this channel, you might find ETH at a much better price, because it could come back down and retest this 618 level, 1684. And I'm cool with that, because I'm trying to stack up on it. But what usually happens is that we're just coming down for a retest. So if we do find support here about 1970, 1950, somewhere through there, and start going back up, good chance we will continue up much higher and maybe much quicker, because this is breaking to the upside of a bearish pattern, which usually leads to parabolic movement. So that's the key area to watch. Now let's go ahead and check out DOT, and this is against the dollar. So falling wedge, and that falling wedge that we broke out of a long time ago has a measured move at 915, 914, and it will take a while to get there, and it has taken a while to get there. So that breakout happened in January, and here we are getting closer and closer to summer, nowhere close to it. Okay, so we did make a bearish megabone, that upward broadening pattern, fell to the downside, Came down just a little bit below. Was that my measured move? I'm thinking the top one was my measured move. It may be the bottom. If it was the bottom, it did really good. But I'm thinking it actually went to a little bit lower than my measured move, which is fine. We had this zone kind of mapped out, and it did really well. Drawing our trend lines now, we just stepped our levels down. We lost a level, basically, and we're working up. Now, it's kind of a rising wedge, and it could do this again. We could see another step down. So, it's possible we could be coming back to 550 dot. But right now, it's holding. It's holding well. I would just be looking at these trend lines and these moving averages. But it is holding. Let me turn the regular candles on. Regular candles look kind of scary. But at the moment, on the daily, we lost the 21. But we're coming down in a red cloud. A lot of times you'll see it kick us out. So that's what I'm actually looking for out of DOT. And we got that big, strong wick there. There's buy pressure here, which pushed us back up on the Heikin-Ashi to the 9 moving average. I take that as a good sign. You got green coming in over here on the Ichimoku. Very good sign. We're going to hold our ground here on DOT. DOT's holding pretty strong, even though the daily on the indicators are saying it's going to come down a little bit. Maybe so. Maybe 650. Maybe come down to, make a candle body down at this 100, 628. But this area right here that we're currently in, all this over through here where our moving averages are coming through, that's going to be support. I'm not concerned about DOT so much. Now, I'd like to look at DOT with BTC. And with Bitcoin dominance being on the tear that it is, you can see the values just drove it down. So as well as DOT has done, reclaiming its ground on the dollar, it's lost it on Bitcoin. But at some point, that will change. So in a falling channel, and we have been for a while on this. And it's showing some signs that it's starting to turn around here just a little bit. If we extend that out, that is actually a bullish pattern. We may possibly come down here, back down to the wick and make a partial, what we call partial decline. That's usually how these patterns play out. Come back down to the halfway mark before it breaks through and goes up to through the Ichimoku cloud. This is going to take a little while to pay out. So altcoin season. When you're truly in altcoin season, we will see this just spike up. And that will be a blessing, just not seeing that happen just yet. So for that, total 2, Bitcoin dominance, and we just need Bitcoin to get to a level where it can just trade sideways, kind of like what it's been doing. It's just taking a little bit more of a dump. Leandro asked, what could be a good price to buy more ETH? And I think anything under 19 is good for me, in my opinion. Let's go back there, see if I answered that question. So if it holds this line, 1943, looking at that 21-day moving average, that would be my best suggestion. That would be the first place we come back and retest. And then following that 50. Because that's when we're in a bullish market, that's what you will see them retest those trend lines. And then when we do a correction, we look at the 50 for our correction, for our standard correction. If we lose that, we're looking at something deeper, where we will eventually come back and retest the 200. Not showing signs that it wants to do that. So if we got really lucky somewhere between 17 to 18 as this kind of plays out, it moved back up. So I would say somewhere between 1768 and this measure move area from somewhere, which would be support now at 1838. But I'd be very surprised if we come back into this pattern. But I will say, like I said earlier, if we come back into this pattern, if we see that, I would be more inclined to think that we'd be coming down to the 618, about 1682, somewhere through there. So really hard to predict what it's going to do, but you can make plans to where it most likely could go. And those would be those scenarios to look out for. And one thing I see with DOT is that it can't get back to that megaphone again. It's got a little bit of struggle. It'll take it a while. It will. It's just kind of those price steps or structures that it was doing. We talked about. So Great Lane, I'll be looking at those prices to pick up some ETH. Me too. I'm actually kind of eyeballing that in Bitcoin. Because, man, I've been watching this chart for over a year, well over a year. Because it's in a Bitcoin, or Ethereum against Bitcoin has just been in this enormous cup and handle since January. January 2018 is when it kind of first started. So a very long pattern. And like I mentioned, the guy who actually, what would you say, discovered, or made this pattern popular, William O'Neill, that's how he described it, as a very long, drawn-out process, accumulation process. And on the stock market, he was talking about this lasting for, well, months and months before it played out. And so we are in a handle formation, but at some point, I mean, this has got a great measure move. You're doubling your Bitcoin. Basically, you're at 0.067 Bitcoin for Ethereum. And target we're looking for is 0.145, 0.15, right in that area. So that's what I'm in my margin spot trade with leverage. I've had this going on for a long time. It's a long play. Just based on this, swapping out my Bitcoin for Ethereum, and then when it goes up, I've just been playing the ranges and just accumulating both. All right, so this is pretty much just what I wanted to cover today. I want to take a look at the dollar. We did not do that, and this is where it gets a little skittish. We're breaking away, from the stock market. We were uncorrelating a little bit, or we have been. Where did my price action go? What did I do? Give me a second to find out what I did here. All right. So I've got a Fibonacci. Okay. So currently, the dollar's double bottoming. Now, if it goes up, that's going to be bad for stock market, and it could pour over into crypto. But we had a good run down here with crypto as the dollar went down, and then we got rejected at this orange trend line. That orange trend line is just can't seem to get away from it for some reason. Been lucky currently, but probably it's wanting to go up over the next few weeks, next few months. It's starting to gain some strength there, and that could be bad for the stock market. Now, stock market was in a bullish megaphone pattern, finally broke to the upside. We could, and it looks like it still has a good chance for some upward movement there. So we just have to watch this and how the dollar reacts. It would be great if the dollar just keep coming down, but it's at a point where it's wanting to come up for a little bit. It may just come up to this area at 104, get rejected, and then come back down. Let's hope for that. That would give me more hope for what I see here on ES1, because ES1 looks like it really does want to move on up. So maybe this little pullback that we're seeing in the market won't be as terrible, although ES1 is getting rejected up there. But check our daily. How's it done today? It's still good. We're riding that 9. As long as you're riding that 9, everything's good. Even though we got red light, green light going on our market cipher indicators over here. And on the daily, I mean, the dollar. Ooh, let's take a closer look at that. So this is interesting. Now we're under the 9 currently. Just like the upward trend was riding on top of the 9, this downward trend's been riding below the 9, right? It's a good thing to pay attention to for when we get back into another bearish market. And retesting 21, it's just opposite of what we looked at on the flip side. One thing I do see here on the daily with the dollar, the 50 moving average, it's not setting itself up for a crossover that 100, so that is bearish. Now they're both starting to come down in the same direction. So maybe we're rounding out here instead of taking a sharp move like we did over here. I can see that better on the daily here. Something to watch out for. Now that would be interesting, and that could. Not as great as if the dollar just kept going down and people pouring into crypto and the markets, but it could just be, our dollar could just be going sideways and kind of making maybe a double bottom before it catches up. That's looking very, very likely to me. So overall, I'm not getting a sign that we're getting ready for anything major crash, just your typical healthy price correction. Lane, what do you do in the insight is high quality education for free? I always learn watching your content. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. And I hope that I explain it well. I always worry about that if I'm being confusing or boring, if I'm going over it too much or I'm trying to find that balance there. I want people to be able to look at what I do and learn from it. This is the biggest way that I learn, watching it like this. I mean, there's videos and things like that that'll go over and give you the basics, but watching someone who's familiar with the market and understands market structure and watching what they do, and that's what solidified it for me. And the little things that you need to know come out. There's a lot of things that don't even come to our mind because we're just not set up for it, like in the cycles of the market. Different things that you will do when you're at the bottom of the market or when you're in the middle. Markdown, accumulation, all those different parts of the market cycle, you approach it a little bit differently. The biggest thing that I can say right now, where we are at the bottom, you're wanting to look at the daily 200 moving average. When you see your coins get above that, they're bullish, and you want to front run that with the 4 hour. So if you see it headed that way on the daily, whatever coin you're looking for, and you see that you're getting near or above the 4 hour on the 200, above the 200 on the 4 hour, you're in some good territory to accumulate. Actually, I tried to front run that even. All right, guys, that's what I've got. I'm debating whether I'm going to go get live again tonight. I've been trying to get more into live streams, get a little bit more comfortable with this. It definitely saves me a lot of editing time, but sometimes editing's fun, man. I like that little creative spark, but it just takes so long. But just, if you're interested, just hit the notifications or something like that. I'm trying to, my time zone somewhere around 10:30 seems to work pretty good. I'm trying to shoot for an hour stream, but it's so easy just to get caught up in this and lose track of time that they've been going a little bit longer than that. But guys, I appreciate you for stopping by, but things overall, it's just a healthy pullback in my opinion. Let's just check out CoinGecko really quick. See what things are looking at like overall. Bart Simpson, I mean, lots of things just coming down. It's opportunities to pick things up, to watch things closely, to find opportunities to pick things up. Leandro says, no Lane, you're clear and deep. When I started watching your content, everything was a cup and handle for me. There are some people that like to find a lot of cup and push cup and handles. Yeah. Striga Heart says, thanks for the stream. I'll check in later. And CD, I appreciate you all for being here. All right, let's see if I can exit this gracefully now. What happened here? Look at that.
I don't always like videos.
Add a new commercial.
But when I
see you guys later.
I always prefer Road.Crypto. Trade wisely, my friends.